There is just a little bit of a glitch there. So, welcome this morning to you all who are listening to, I suppose, Lalita's few minutes of wisdom. But this morning I woke up and I thought about the lockdown. And I thought to myself, maybe what I can do is just flip the coin a little bit. And I went to my bookshelf, and every morning what I do, it's a very nice thing to do, is I take one of my books out of my bookshelf and then I'll open it at random. So this morning it was Anthony de Mello, who was a Catholic, I think a priest or a monk, and I think he's died by now, but he's written profound statements. So there's a little story in this book that I opened out to on page 177, and it says, an absent-minded professor was late for his lecture. So he jumped into a taxi and he shouted, "Hurry, at top speed." As the cab sped along, he realized, or the taxi sped along, he realized that he hadn't told the driver where to go. So he shouted, "Do you know where I want to go?" "No, sir," said the taxi driver, "but I'm driving as fast as I can." I love that story. So, but I wanted to remind myself this morning that the lockdown, which is here in Wales, of course, and you may be in England where the lockdown has already lifted a little bit, but here in Wales, the lockdown will be another 12 days or so before they start reconsidering which way to go. And I thought to myself, this is such a precious time. This is such a precious time. Before lockdown, we were a little bit like that professor, speeding along and being in a hurry and knowing exactly where we wanted, and with a lot of pressure on us, and life was just going along in this fast lane. And now the world has slowed down. Let's not, and this is my plea to myself this morning, let's not want it to be over too soon. Let's take the time to look at our lives and say, have I actually looked at what I want to do, how I want to come out of this lockdown? Who do I want to be? Who do I want my family to be? Let me just slow down. Let me enjoy the pause that nature is providing for me, and slow down myself. Because I think we need to just remember that when nature slows down, we're part of nature. We're supposed to slow down. But within that slowing down, let's not just idle it away. Let's do some very important things with it. And, think about what is it that I want to do. Like my friend, she moved from a different country over to England, and when she first moved over, she left her flat behind, wherever that was, and then a few days ago her flat has caught up with her. But in the meantime, she'd lived very simply and she was really happy. And then the other day, boxes and boxes and boxes of her past arrived, and she's going, "Oh my goodness me, what am I going to do? I'm so good with what I'm doing now." So I think there's a point in us looking at our life and packing a few things up in boxes that we possibly don't need anymore, that we can do without, that we can leave behind, not just on a physical level, but also on a mental and emotional level, and really prepare the seat in which we want to sit when the lockdown finishes. So I know everybody's driving and saying, "Oh my God, how long is this lockdown going to be?" And yes, of course, there is uncomfortable in some ways. But on another side, if you flip that coin, we should say, this is amazing. It really is amazing. So when I was in Colorado Springs, this is another incident that came back to me the other day. I was I was part of a forest fire, not inside of it, but I was witnessing it for many days on end, and when I lived there. So what happened was that when the fire actually subsided, I went to have a look at it, and we had a meeting with the North Indian elders, and there was a ceremony for everything to start growing again. And when I went there, the ground in Colorado, actually it's very sandy ground, and the ground had all melted into this black mirror when I first saw it. And everything was, all the trees had come and burnt down to ashes. But when I actually looked at the sandy mirror, little cracks, it was maybe only 2 or 3 or 4 days after the fire finished, little cracks started to appear, and these little new plants started to come through. And it also reminded me of the story that I heard when a student said to his teacher, "Oh my God, the forest has burned down," and the teacher says, "Come on, we must go. We must replant the cedar trees. We must replant them, and there's no time to lose." And the student said, "What do you mean there's no time to lose? A cedar tree takes 2,000 years. 2,000 years to grow to the height it was normally." And that's, the teacher said, "Yes, but that is why we have no time to lose." So look at this time. This is my reminder to myself. I don't know whether any of this makes any sense to you, but I want to remind myself I need that time that nature's giving me now and replace myself. I want to come out of this lockdown with a better philosophy and a better view of myself and of my family, and a better view of the world that I live in. And that time that we have is very precious, but at the same time, as we're in it, we have got no time to lose. So please try and make some sense out of these words that I've just spoken, and see where you are at the moment. And yes, I always say live your life really well, and I think by that I mean all of what I've just said. And we've got so many methods, we've got so many sadhanas, we've got so many practices that we may not want to engage in, but they might be very, very precious. Revive them, look at them, and be with them, because the last thing we want, I think any of us want, is to come out of this lockdown, out of this most precious time that nature's given us, and not to have changed. So let's flip that coin and say, let me slow down, but with no time to lose. So have a fantastic day today, and yes, really enjoy yourself, but keep those words in mind. And I will do the same. Bless you all.